start. There is a very minor instance that I have placed before you. Town planning is becoming more and more important in India. Not only planning of great cities like Delhi or Calcutta, which is very important, but smaller cities and smaller towns. Planning now means not only producing something more livable, but possibly doing away with the many of the difficulties and dangers that may come later. You must think of that. You must build for the future. Build for the present by all means, but build also for the future with schools and hospitals and playgrounds, markets and roads. All these things do not cost much except a little extra labor and thought. I am afraid the habit of thought is not particularly obvious among our municipal councillors. They are so busy with their day-to-day difficulties that they seldom think of the future. Planning means thinking of the future, and I think it is very important that in your conference you should give thought to the future. You have to think of what you want your towns and villages to be like, so that gradually you may approach the ideal. You cannot accomplish it quickly. The Delhi Master Plan has taken us about 6 or 7 years to prepare. Even with some of the most competent men that we could obtain, they worked hard for the planning of Delhi, and they have produced a plan. Naturally, they cannot write on a plain surface. They have to accept Delhi city as it is and then plan for its future. That limits one's efforts, but they have produced a plan which I think is a good plan, and they expect it to be given effect to in the course of the next 15 or 20 years. We must work to that end as far as we can, and gradually it will take shape. Of course, you can make changes in between when you want. Whatever the corporation and the municipality do must fit into that plan. I would suggest some things which you must concentrate upon at all costs. Water supply is very important. Water supply for villages is even more important than for the towns and important cities. It is astonishing that there are still areas in India where good water is not available, and men and women specially have to go long distances to fetch a little water. Good water and clean surroundings will probably do more for the health of the country than all the medicines and other things that you may import or manufacture here. So I would suggest you are making a special effort to ensure such things. However, suitable for the villages should be so designed that they can be built with local material. This will not be difficult and it is being done in some places. You cannot have any great housing program for villages with imported material, but the planning of the houses and that of the villages can be given some thought, keeping always in view that the population is increasingly impinging on other villages and towns and cities. There is another point with which you may not be concerned in this conference. The question of family planning, which is a very important thing. It is to be faced. Otherwise, all your efforts at improving the living conditions will fail. Dear Sir, with regard to the proposed establishment of an agency in the East, it is most important that the man selected to push the trade should have as much experience as possible. With the exceptional conditions prevailing in that part of the world, it does not appear to have occurred to you that the local requirements are totally different in the great majority of cases from those prevailing in the West. In all cases, the outward appearance of the goods is the most important consideration. And last but not least, long credit is necessary. The representative you propose to appoint has not had much experience in this class of trade, at least not to my knowledge. He has not specialized at all in our class of goods. At any rate, not that I am aware of. He may be a most excellent representative in his own class of business and quite suitable for ordinary purposes, but in a matter of this kind, it would be better to interview a few other gentlemen before finally deciding. I have written to one or two customers in order to ascertain the names of likely representatives, and on receipt of this information I will write you again, putting all together on one side the question of an established connection. I think you will agree that other things being equal, the man with the practical experience of our trade ought to have the appointment. Yours faithfully. Stop.